Yo fam, just checking in. I know the winter air is heavy, so take breaks, find space to breathe, then hit me back when you're ready.
Hi, so my name is Jay Chambers. I'm a dub poet, touring musician, and I guess a community educator, and yeah, just general critical thinker, supporter of freedom and liberation and cultural discourse. We're in Pull Up Manchester. I chose this space because it's a really cool community vibe. The owner of the space, Sharon, does a lot for diasporic communities, giving us a space to be creative, express, and to just hold a vibe, man. Like, it's special, particularly in a city like Manchester, where there's not many spaces like this. It's super valuable, so I had to bring you here. It found me. So like, one of my cousins, Jarrell, he brought me here for some food, and then I met Sharon, we got on, and like, she's just always been a supporter of my art. Like, anytime I post anything about a show or a new progression, she's in the comments, she's sharing it on the business page, which she just doesn't need to do, but she does, because she just has so much love for the community. So yeah, like, and from that, I've just always found myself here for like the poetry nights that she does. There's like creative nights, I think like sip and paints and things like that. So there's just always something going on. So I frequent here quite a lot, and obviously it helps that the food bangs as well.
Exquisite food, exquisite service.
Manchester has such a cool history. So obviously like, Manchester City used to be in Moss Side. Moss Side is like the home of Caribbean culture within Manchester. Well, I'd say like Moss Side, you've got like Levenshulme that's got a Caribbean population, Old Trafford and Hume. But Moss Side is like, I guess like there's a quote unquote stereotypical place that you'd think because of the concentration. But Manchester City started out there. Main Road Stadium was in that space. And so like, obviously because of where it is now is so far removed from that, people forget those links. But that's why there's a strong, like if you're Jamaican and you support footy in Manchester, you're either red or blue. And more people in the older generation are more blue than red. It's more like our generation that would be red. It's interesting. Obviously you've got Ancoats, which is where all the cotton was processed back in the day. So you've got living reminders of the legacy of the Industrial Revolution and how Manchester grew, but who ultimately paid the price of that, although they never talk about that. And then just cultural spots like HQ. You've got like Richie and Nicky's Liquor Store, which is an amazing space in Manchester where they're importing goods from the Caribbean. So you can go and you can buy like a soursop or Julie mango if you feel like one, or you can buy some cane, like, and it's just really cool because they have fresh goods brought in every Thursday. And also with the Hurricane Melissa effort, big up Richie and Nicky, they're leading this big collection where they're sending a shipping container back home. And so they're really leading that community charge. You got like Legacy FM, and Radio Diamond, which are Caribbean community stations. So there's like a strong Caribbean presence here, man. It's a vibe.
Yo fam, I'm just checking in. I know the winter air is heavy, so take breaks, find space to breathe, hit me back when you're ready. I wish you would suffer more. I replied, I wish the world gave us the room to. See, we check in with each other periodically, as we know it's only in those moments we can unearth the truth of how we feel. Carrying words without space to share, or worse, the mindset of sharing being a weakness. Never let somebody tell you about your healing journey who hasn't braved the first step in theirs.
Growing up in Manchester in the 90s, there wasn't a lot of, I guess, like diversity as there is now, where you could see positive iterations of yourself. The representations of black male masculinity was, it has to be hard, it has to have this bravado, obviously, which was a coping mechanism for the barriers that we would have to face at the time. I love that now it's able to soften and show like both sides of the coin. We have to be hard, but also we have to be in tune with our emotional well-being. We have to be vulnerable. We have to have those conversations of what the cost of being hard was for those people at that time. And so for me, masculinity is a multitude of things. It's being human, it's being open, it's being honest, but also being in touch with oneself, one's emotions, and having that emotional intelligence to help navigate and discuss black identity, because it's not a monolith, it's a multitude. And in the same way, we have to treat our emotions like that as well. So HQ is the Rastafarian headquarters for the Rastafarian iteration of the 12 tribes, which is one of the mansions of Rastafari that exist. It's the most popularized, particularly in Europe, because of obviously Bob Marley being, I guess, like the first person who brought that into Europe. So that's the space for that place within Manchester. It's a real special cultural place for me because obviously as a Rastafarian man, but also a lot of my family who are Rastafarians went there. My uncle, Hopton Anthony Walters, or he's known as Spliffington, he used to go there, and so spending time around there helps me feel connected to him and that area of my heritage and identity. It's an amazing space. There's lots of cultural murals. There's the link, obviously, between Manchester and Africa there. Obviously, acknowledging Shashamane, the place in Africa, which His Imperial Majesty gave to Rastafarians to exist within Ethiopia. I know they organise trips for youths to go out there. And there's many elders who are of the diaspora from Manchester who are members of the 12 tribes who relocated and repatriated to there. And so there's just real strong cultural links. So when you go there, you feel like a real stronger Africanness and Pan-Africanness within that hub, within Manchester. So culturally, I really wanted to select that place because of the multitude of identity. Like, our identity is not a monolith, it's a mixed bag of different things, and I think like HQ really personifies that for me. When I was releasing the book, the team that I was working with wanted me to do a poetry library, and at the time, I was like, nah, like some of these spaces don't always feel as inviting as they could be. And that's not through the efforts of the teams. Like there's lots of teams that want to change the outreach, it's just who frequents there. And for me, I wanted to have a space that spoke to the culture. Our culture is vibrant, it's bright, it's light, it's fun, it's warm. Like you feel that when you're in here, right? And it's like, it wouldn't feel that if I had the launch in a library, but then you wouldn't necessarily consider having a book launch in a Caribbean restaurant. But choosing the right well to drink from meant that I connected with Sharon, who owns the place that we're sat now, who's been like a massive supporter of my work. Whereas if I went to like a library, they maybe would have given me the space, but would they have like supported the book in the same way? Would they have told people in the same way? Manchester has always had strong Caribbean and African creative voices. It's just not always chosen to platform those. Like you can go back all the way to like the early 80s and look at like a guy called Gerald Voodoo Ray, like which changed like electronic music. I believe he might be of Jamaican heritage, I think, but Black Mancunian man. You know, you've got like Sylvia Teller and all of these amazing Caribbean voices. We've always had the space here, it's just that the powers that be haven't chose to platform it. That's what's cool about the music here, like the elders have so much love. Like I spoke on a panel recently with Sylvia, and I also met another poet called Levi Tafari, who's amazing, renowned, spoken and performed with legends like Benjamin Zephaniah and Rest in Power and other people like that. And they're just like, and Sylvia obviously was a backing vocalist for Boney M, had her own success as like a solo artist, and like their thing is just that they're so happy to see like youngers almost like carrying the baton, because it's kind of like a relay race, isn't it? Like you take your career as far as you can, but then the measure of your success isn't what you've amassed for yourself, it's the inroads and avenues you've created for those who want to continue after you've gone. Or not even after you've gone, but after you're in a position where you don't want to be as active. And so I feel like, for me, seeing the elders in the way that they're accepting and wanting to help and support, that kind of gives me the motivation to continue.
Yo fam, I'm just checking in. I know the winter air is heavy, so take breaks, find space to breathe, and hit me back when you're ready. I know every year we say, new year, new me, but I've started to resent the sentiment, as if every year reinvention is the game plan, as if intention removes the barriers when it actually changes the premise, where we hustle to evolve without actually building our resolve to get it.
I think my transition into being more conscientious about the message that I put out came quite late. Like I didn't start recording and releasing music until I was 21. So I was kind of a late bloomer. I was a drummer before then. And so I think my turning point of actually finding my sound and voice came probably around when I was 26, 27 was when I kind of was like, okay, this is me. I was kind of late to the party in that sense. But not late to the time, not late to the party because it's all divine timing. It's out of our hands. But yeah, I think I understood that I had to live life before I could reflect it. And so, yeah, everything happens at the right time, innit? And like, even now, like it's the evolution of it. Like, I was a artist before I was a poet, even though the two are intertwined. And then it was actually someone else who was like, you know that you should be a poet? And then it was like, because your lyrics are so poetic. And it was like, all right, I'll try this. And then, you know, the book comes along, and then I then made a film, and then now I'm a filmmaker. And it's like, it's that thing, it's like the evolution of where you find yourself at and not being limited or trying to pigeonhole yourself, because I guess like we grow as humans and therefore our gifts can as well. And we attain different gifts at different stages within our life.